Hello, hello, and welcome to the Good Girls Get Rich podcast. I'm your host, Karen Yankovich. And if LinkedIn has been feeling really heavy lately, I want you to pause with me for a moment, because if you're listening to this show, here's what I already know about you. You're smart, you're capable, you've built things, you've lived some life, and yet when it comes to LinkedIn, something feels off. It just feels like pressure. It feels like, effort without traction, like you're carrying a weight that shouldn't be there. And I want to say this clearly right from the start. If this is you, if LinkedIn starts to feel heavy, it's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because you're trying to use it in a way that no longer fits who you are. So this year, 2026, it's not asking you to show up louder or faster or more often. It's asking you to show up truer. It's asking you to create trust in you and in your expertise. So today I'm going to share 3 shifts quickly that explain why LinkedIn feels heavy for smart women. And then we're going to slow down and go deeper into each one. So consider this your deep exhale and let's begin. So 3 shifts in 3 minutes. Shift number 1. You're treating LinkedIn like a content machine instead of a conversation space. When everything feels like content, everything feels like pressure, right? And LinkedIn, it bills itself as the number 1 content hub on the internet. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But if that's what you're doing, that's why it feels like pressure. Shift number 2, you're trying to prove your credibility instead of positioning your authority. Smart women exhaust themselves explaining things they've already earned the right to say. You don't need to continually try to prove your credibility. We've got ways to build that. But right here, right now, stop explaining. Stop explaining. You've already earned the right to say these things. And shift number 3, and this is a big one, you're chasing the algorithm instead of aligning with your authority. The algorithm isn't in charge here. Clarity is. Clarity is. And the algorithm, it changes every time we, blink our eyes, right? So stop chasing the algorithm, start aligning. These are the 3 shifts. Now let's slow down for a minute and talk about what this actually means. Before we go deeper, I just want to pause for a moment. If you're listening and thinking, oh yeah, this explains a lot. I want you to know you're not alone. You're not behind. LinkedIn doesn't feel heavy because you're bad at it. It feels heavy because you've evolved. And no one ever taught you how to evolve your visibility along with you, right? To step into this new identity. The Visibility Salon is the space I created for women who are done forcing themselves into visibility that doesn't fit, right? Like, it's where we focus in the Visibility Salon on clarity, on conversation, on connection, and on authority without pressure, without performance. So if that sounds like the room you've been looking for, you can learn more at visibilitysalon.com. No pressure, just an open door. All right. So now let's go deeper into these 3 shifts. Shift number 1. I don't want you to have pressure to just create a lot of content. That's one of the reasons why I love LinkedIn so much. The current LinkedIn algorithm reports that are tracked by people smarter than me, that are into more geeky stuff than I am, says that less is more on LinkedIn. You never have to post 3 times a day. In fact, you're hurting your reach when you post that often, right? So creating a content calendar, it sounds exhausting, isn't it? Like everybody's saying you need a content calendar for 2025, 2026, or 2027. And do I want you to put some content on LinkedIn? Of course I do. But, so many people ask me, how do I get more eyes on my LinkedIn content? And for years, I have been saying, you're asking me the wrong question. The question is on LinkedIn isn't about how do I get more eyes on my content? It's about how do I connect deeper with my network? Right? And conversation builds trust so much faster than just continual broadcasting. So this is the problem that we're having. We're putting out so much noise out there online, and nobody's reading anything. Nobody's reading anything. Have you ever gone through your inbox and delete, and then thought gosh, I wonder if people are doing that to my emails, right? There's so much noise out there. So connection is so much more important than content, and conversations are so much more important than content. The content helps position you for sure. In our Visibility Salon, we teach a content plan, but not an exhausting content calendar that you have to create constantly, right? And to me, this like relational visibility, it feels lighter, it feels more effective, it feels more expansive, it feels more like me, right? So you don't need more content, you need more connection. So think about this for a second. If LinkedIn wasn't a stage, who would you actually want to talk to? Who in your LinkedIn network do you actually want to talk to? That's the shift I want you to take from this shift number one here. The shift number one, which is from the content pressure to conversation power. Shift number two, from proving yourself to positioning yourself, right? I get it. I get it. We are like conditioned to over explain ourselves sometimes, right? And it's almost like a legacy survival strategy. It doesn't work. And it honestly, it devalues you when you're continually trying to have to explain yourself, right? So many people look at LinkedIn as like their online resume and they have to explain all the things that they've done. Your resume is all about who you used to be, right? LinkedIn should be positioning you for the person you're stepping into, the person you're positioning for. You don't have to prove all the things that brought you to where you are today. You need to step into this authority. It's an internal decision, right? Not an algorithm reward, right? So stop trying to over explain yourself on LinkedIn. That's why we build PR into the strategies that we teach, because PR gives you that credibility without you having to say, and I deserve this because blah, 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 blah. You don't have to explain yourself. Not today, not ever again. So here's the deal. Positioning is not something you earn. It's something you decide. Okay. It's something that you decide. You decide that you've got this authority and this credibility, and you're deciding this from a place of knowledge, right? You know you do. And then you're creating a credibility plan for it instead of explaining it to people all the time. So think about this. What do people already trust me for, even if I've never claimed it out loud? Think about that, right? What do people already trust me for, even if I've never claimed it out loud? All right, now we're going to move on to shift number 3, from algorithm anxiety to authority alignment, right? You guys, does anybody really know what any algorithm does ever? And I love the people, I mentioned it earlier, I love the people that create algorithm reports. I buy them all because I want to learn, but they change the minute they get published, right? Like they change the minute they get published, and we all know this. So when you're chasing these trends, it's creating more nervous energy for you because you don't really know what the heck you're doing or why you're doing it, right? So let's stop worrying about the algorithm. And let's start to just have some calm clarity. That's what's standing out as we're moving into 2026, right? This alignment is what's creating this momentum for you without the hustle, right? So yes, we look at things like algorithms and we do our best to, if it says things like, if there's an algorithm report that says, and don't use hashtags anymore on LinkedIn, I'm not going to use hashtags anymore on LinkedIn. P.S. That's not what it says, right? But I'm just making that up. So if there's things we know, we'll take note of that, right? But chasing the algorithm is just it's an exhausting strategy. And I would much rather you show up with alignment, creating that connection, creating that credibility, and creating momentum without the hustle. Because here's what I know. Regardless of what the current specifics are in an algorithm report, the algorithms respond to resonance, not frenzy. The algorithm on LinkedIn has always responded better to when you're engaging with other people than when you're just posting a lot on your stuff, right? That's been consistent across the years, right? So think about this, okay? What would I say if I trusted the right people were already listening to me? What would you be saying? What would you be saying on LinkedIn if you trusted that the right people were already listening to you? The beautiful thing about LinkedIn and about the work we're doing here in the She's Linked Up Visibility Salon and Karen Yankovich world is that we're not asking you to become someone new. We're inviting you to stop carrying what was never yours to hold, right? LinkedIn doesn't need more noise. It needs more women who know who they are, who are willing to show up from that place, right? And connect with the right people confidently. So if visibility's felt heavy, consider this my permission slip to you to do things a little bit differently. And if you want a space where that way of showing up is practiced, not pressured, you're going to find that in the Visibility Salon. I'll meet you there when you're ready. I will see you back here next week with another episode of the Good Girls Get Rich podcast.